Thank you for joining us for our next Green Kitchen Conversation session. And this time you find us both in our community garden, which is really exciting. And you'll be able to get a sense of what's growing here at the moment. But it's lovely for us to be here and doing a session in the same place.
Yeah, it's a big treat. So we've got cabbages here, we've got onions, loads of currants going on. These currants in the middle.
Yeah, we've got currants, we've got gooseberries,
Kale.
we've got kale, we've got a variety of herbs, we've got some yellow raspberries. It's lovely. It's
really
lovely.
nice. And so all of this will go to our local food bank when it's ready to go. So,
Yeah, but for today's session, we're going to be looking at probably one of our favourite things, which is preserving. And preserving is a brilliant way, and it's a prime example of, you can sometimes end up with a big glut of fruit and veg. So what are the different ways you could preserve it? What are the different things you could do with it? So we are going to scratch the surface in terms of preserving today and giving it a go. I'm going to look at some fruit vinegar, and Steffi, you're going to be...
I'm going to do lots of quick pickles that you can keep in the fridge, so they don't need too much care, really quick and easy. And I think what's nice about pickles is that you can do really small quantities. So as you'll see, I have very small quantities of harvest from my garden, but it's really nice just to be able to do something with them and turn them into something very tasty.
Yeah, and preserving, when I think of preserving, I love the fact we can do really quick pickles that are nice and fresh and really quick to make.
Yeah.
And then we can also use some of the fruit and veg we grow in terms of making jams, in terms of making chutneys, and we can, so it's I love it. I love preserving. It's really, I think it's such a good way of preserving what you're growing in terms of what to do with a glut of veg. It's such a good thing.
Yeah, and there's more to it than just jam, but jam is delicious.
That's it. That's it. You can go the traditional jams, chutneys, but there's so much more you can do to it. And it's another one of those things that I think it's having a go. Use what you've got. Have a go. Don't be afraid to experiment and see what tastes good, see what works, see what you enjoy, and just go for it.
Yeah. We'll show you what we have. Let's show you what we've got today.
Okay, Vicky, so what have you got?
So I am going to be doing some fruit vinegars. Today we're going to use some Scottish raspberries because it's a brilliant time of year for them, and we're going to make some raspberry vinegar. And I find fruit vinegars something different to do if you've got a glut of your kind of soft fruit, but also really good. I use them a lot for salad dressings. Something that just creates a slightly different flavour, and it's just, and also a beautiful colour. So we are going to be using so I've got maybe 300 grams of raspberries, and my vinegars, I've got a mix of distilled vinegar and some white wine vinegar that I've mixed together here. And I'm going to put them into, we're going to put them into a large jar for the moment, because what's going to happen with this is we'll put them in here and we're going to leave them for 10 days to allow them to infuse, and after the 10 days I will sieve the raspberries out and I'll bottle up the vinegar into a bottle. But we want to put it away for 10 days to start with. So we'll begin by putting our raspberries into our jar. They've got slightly mashed up, just I think in terms of being quite warm, but that's totally fine, because what I will do before we put the vinegar is I'm going to give them a bit more of a mash just with a rolling pin, and that will just help the juices come out, which is what we want. I'm just thinking of the colour.
Very satisfying.
Very satisfying. And I love raspberry jam, but it's so nice to do some different things with raspberries. Oh,
It's a really nice salad dressing, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I made it one year and I really loved having it.
Just
Put on everything.
smell of the raspberries.
Yeah.
If only we could share this.
Smell-o-vision.
So we've given that just a bit of a mash up, so they're there in the bottom. And we are just going to add our vinegar. Just, we begin to get a sense of the colour that's kind of coming. Yeah. And I'm going to seal. So I'm sealing that up. I'm going to put that away in a cupboard for, I'm going to give it a bit of a shake, but put it away in a cupboard for sort of 10 days. And then I'm going to keep an eye on it just to see how that colour is developing. But then in 10 days time, I am going to be sieving out the raspberries, bottling up the vinegar, and we have a beautiful raspberry vinegar. So we have our raspberries and our vinegar together, and there was a couple of things I didn't mention. I've put in about 600 ml of the vinegar, but the important thing when you're thinking about something like a fruit vinegar is just ensuring that your fruit is covered by the vinegar. You don't want any fruit that's sitting above and exposed, because that, you know, this is being preserved in here, but if anything's exposed, then that has the potential to
get a bit mouldy,
cause a
doesn't
bit
it?
of mould.
Yeah.
So that's your key thing in terms of use the, you know, it's like a lot of the things we've looked at over the last few weeks. Use what you have in terms of vinegar. Just your key thing is just ensuring the fruit's covered, but that's ready to go away in a cool cupboard. I'll keep an eye on it just when I'm in and out of the kitchen, but it should just start to just preserve away, and then we'll get a beautiful raspberry vinegar in about 10 days time.
Lovely.
Okay, so I'm going to make some quick pickles with, like I said, not very much in quantities of produce from my garden, but it makes quite a nice array to have in your fridge. So I'm going to show you a basic pickle recipe, which is really just equal parts vinegar to water. But for some of them I'm also going to add sugar and make like a sweet pickle. So I'll do the plain one first. And you can use any kind of, as far as I'm aware anyway, you could use any type of vinegar. Would you say that's right, Vicky?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah.
Adds to the flavour, whichever one you use.
Yes.
So for this one I'll use cider vinegar. Give that a go. So I'll do half and half. So let's say, because I've got quite small jars, we'll try 250 and 250. And the first one I'm going to make, I've got these very small carrots from my garden, and this is what happens to carrots when you don't thin them or allow enough room for your carrots to grow. But you know, I'm trying to save them and put them into a little pickle.
They will
instead.
make delicious pickles.
Yeah, so that it's not all a failure. And also, just to say now that you can use carrot tops, possibly to make pestos, or to make, you know, anything green. Shove them in a soup or something like that would be nice too. So this is just that's just your basic pickling vinegar, and I'm going to add some heat into this one, and I've put a clove of garlic. I'm also going to use some fresh ginger. It's all really rough chopped. It's really rustic, this one. So that's something nice about pickles. You can just kind of infuse everything with your own flavors. Here I've just raided the spice cupboard, and I've got some mustard seeds. That's quite a classic vinegar combination. And that's another favourite of mine is nigella seeds.
Lovely.
And I just think they both kind of lend themselves to a spicy flavour. So I'm gonna pop those in with the liquid. And what I used to do to speed up the kind of pickling process a bit, I'm not sure if it worked entirely, but I would heat up the pickle on the hob And I guess in my head I just thought it would infuse the vinegar a bit more with like the spices, and then I just pour the hot liquid over, say, your cucumbers or whatever you're doing, and then let it cool before I put it in the fridge.
Yep.
So there's different, I'm not sure, I guess what I can tell you is like what difference that makes entirely, but psychologically I thought you'd get more flavour from the spices that way. And then again, as Vicky said, with the raspberries, just make sure your pickles are covered, entirely covered. You put them in the jar. And then that's your little spicy carrots. So I would definitely leave those a wee while. Oh, try not to spill them. And pop them into your fridge. So I'm going to use the same pickling liquor, and I'm going to make some fridge pickles as well. More traditional pickles that you'd have with your barbecues and that kind of thing. I think I don't need to add anything else to those. I think I'm just going to put the liquid over those two.
So how long would you leave those before you'd perhaps use them?
I think maybe overnight would be a good
Yep.
call, but it is a quick pickle, so maybe in the morning or something, and then you could have them for dinner. You know, it just depends. They'd still taste delicious. They just wouldn't be preserved as such. It would just be a nice dressing, I guess.
And how long would they last?
Again, I think, I don't know for sure. Certainly no expert, but I would keep a pickle, these kind of pickles, in the fridge. And so as long as they're in the fridge, I'd say that you can keep them for a good few weeks.
Yep.
You know, but as ever used, you know, it's again making sure the liquid is covering everything so that they don't have a chance to go off, and then you should be all right. But not the expert.
No, but I think, Steffi, as with all the sessions we've done, we are not the experts about creating conversations and encouraging kind of having a go.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm quite fond of a sweet pickle, so I'm going to add a bit of sugar, and this is just to taste, really. This isn't to say, because sugar itself is another preservative. So I'm going to use some coconut sugar. I'm just going to add like a couple of spoons, and I'm also going to add some star anise and some allspice berries.
Lovely.
So all of these like hardy spices are really good for pickles.
Yep.
You know, that just a slow release but give you loads of flavour. Star anise is just such a nice one. And just they're quite strong, so I'll only put a couple in. And also allspice berries. Again, going back to my Greek restaurant days, this is really delicious in tomato sauces.
Nice.
And yeah, pickling as well. They're so nice, and they're kind of a bit of an obscure one, I find. You know, I didn't really know about them until I worked there.
Yeah.
So that's allspice berries as well. And this sweet pickle is going to go onto my tiny harvest of I don't know if you can see them, black currants and red currants.
Yeah,
So
lovely.
you might also have, you know, a bush in your. They're just in our communal garden. And, you know, it's nice for the birds to eat them too. But just to be able to pick a small jar is really, really lovely. And the inspiration came from a nice ice cream parlour that I've been to, and they were putting pickled berries onto their ice cream.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna
lovely.
try. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I'm going to be a nice summery thing. So I'm going to scoop out, make sure the star anise gets in there. Oh, whizzing through the pickles to remember what I'm making next. So I think what you end up with is like a mysterious shelf in your fridge with like all these beautiful pickles. So I've got a bit of an unusual pickle here. I'm just going to pickle these, they're nasturtium seeds. They're quite young ones.
Lovely.
Yeah, and so apparently when pickled they kind of mimic a caper kind of flavour.
Oh wow, lovely.
Yeah, and nasturtiums themselves are quite spicy.
And again, it's a very small harvest.
Yep.
But I'm just going to give it a go because it sounded quite interesting. And this one I'm going to put, I've got a flavoured salt that I just had in my cupboard. Lemon myrtle salt.
Nice.
So I'm gonna,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
another thing you can add to like a pickling liquor
Yep.
is a bit of salt. Because obviously salt is another preservative. So I'm not going to go too crazy, just about that much. And hopefully that'll add nice flavour. Something I haven't really added to my pickles today, but it's another good one, is fresh herbs.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got, well, we'll take you through our herb garden in a minute. I can show you the FEL herbs that we have, but my favourite is dill. I think I've got dill pickle in everything.
In everything. It was
Yeah.
such a useful one.
So we'll just see how that works out. So that's kind of a salty
Lovely.
pickle. And then that's my pickling. I don't know if you want to scan
Yeah.
and see them all. I think again, you know, like with
Oh,
our cordials, it's just so nice to see everything all together.
They look amazing.
Hello, so I just mentioned that fresh herbs are another really nice thing to add to pickles. So I was just taking you through our little FEL herb ledge. So we've got lovely chives, we've got some sage. I probably would stick to things like quite rustic herbs. So rosemary is really nice. Maybe marjoram. Yeah, this could be a really nice one too. Also, another way of preserving herbs can be to sort of, if you chop them in small bunches and hang them in maybe a nice sunny windowsill or something like that. Then you can have your own dried herbs as well, so that you save some of the nice herbs from your garden. And then there's just a few more down here as well. Dill is a really big favourite of mine, and also bay leaves are just lovely. They add a really, really nice flavour. So yeah, that was just my quick herb stop for you. Hi, I just wanted to quickly show you another thing that I had dried to preserve, and that was some edible flowers that I had in my veg box. And these are calendula. They're really beautiful. You know, I use them just as like a cut flower alternative, so that's really good to have your own flowers to enjoy, you know, in a nice vase at home. But they also dry really well. And so this is a few that I've dried. It really didn't take very long. I didn't need a dehydrator or any equipment. I just, you know, just plucked a few petals and sprinkled them on a plate on my windowsill, and in about a day they were dry. So these I will probably plan to use on some cakes. I quite like to decorate cakes with them. But calendula has loads of nice properties, like you can make lovely teas. If you want to, you can infuse oil with calendula. So I could put like a sweet almond oil, or maybe, I'm not sure, maybe you have to look up kind of homemade beauty oils, what would be the best. But once you've done that, then you can make your own balms and that kind of thing. So it's just a really cool way to use up your whole harvest. So yeah, I really recommend growing calendula because it was, again, very easy for an amateur like me to grow, and brought a lot of joy and uses.
Thank you for joining us for this session. If you enjoy the sessions and have some inspiration, it always helps us to like the posts that are put up. But as with all the sessions, it's conversation. So share your inspiration, show us what you've had a go at doing, share your ones you've done previously, because we're always, you know, we are learning and really keen to have a go and experiment with different things as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll post all of our kind of recipes, if you call them recipes, in the descriptions as well, so you have somewhere to look for them. But yeah, any feedback is always very, very welcome. And yeah, we'd love to see what you're making as well. So please send us your photos too. Thanks so much. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. We're just planning what we're going to be doing.
Sure. Again, if you have any ideas, you know, just please put some comments down. That's fine. We'll happily experiment and research.
So yeah, thank you for joining us,
Thanks
and we'll
so
say
much.
goodbye from the garden.